Donald Trump is losing control and Europe is about to fight back. Right now, European leaders are scrambling for a response, calling an emergency meeting. Why? Because Trump just dropped a bombshell. If European countries don't support his plan to invade Greenland, they'll face tariffs up to 25%. But here's the kicker. This isn't just about Greenland. It's about power. It's about global trade deals falling apart. And it's about countries like France, Sweden, and Denmark standing up to the U.S. in ways we've never seen before. So why is this happening now? What's behind Trump's move? And what could this mean for the world as we know it? Stay with me, because this story is only going to get more intense. Trump's threat is sending shockwaves across Europe, and it's more than just a trade dispute. European Union ambassadors are meeting in Brussels today, trying to figure out how to respond. The stakes are higher than you might think. This isn't just about tariffs or an isolated incident. This is the beginning of a larger pattern. Trump's aggressive stance against Europe and his dangerous move to force countries into a choice, either back his plan to invade Greenland or face financial chaos. And here's the thing. This move could unravel trade deals that have been in place for decades. How far will this go? And what happens when entire nations refuse to back down? What does it mean for the United States' standing in the world? Now, here's where it gets really interesting. While Trump fires off threats, European leaders are not backing down. The cracks are starting to show. And this could change everything we thought we knew about global power. Here's the shocking part. Trump's announcement isn't just a blip on the radar, it's a declaration of war on Europe's sovereignty. European leaders aren't just worried about the tariffs, they're afraid of what's coming next. Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson of Sweden didn't mince words. He said, "We will not let ourselves be blackmailed." That's powerful. Sweden is standing firm alongside Denmark and Greenland, calling this what it is, an act of intimidation. This is a full-on clash over control, and it's happening right now. But here's what's missing. Trump has been targeting these countries with no clear strategy. Why Greenland? Why now? And why push Europe this far? What's the hidden agenda that Europe's leaders are catching on to? As tensions rise, the world is starting to see the cracks in the facade of American dominance. And the question everyone's asking is, will Trump's tactics force Europe to unite against him? But it doesn't stop there. The situation is escalating fast. These aren't just idle threats anymore. This is starting to look like a real showdown. If you think this is just about tariffs, think again. This could trigger a massive international conflict. Imagine this. Two NATO members, the U.S. and Denmark, potentially clashing over Greenland. It's unthinkable. Yet that's what Trump's threats are pushing us toward. If this goes through, we'll see a political and military disaster unfold, not just between the U.S. and Europe, but within NATO itself. And here's where it gets even worse. The normalization of these kinds of power plays. We're watching it happen in real time. Leaders are being forced to consider military responses over trade talks. And that's something that wasn't even on the table before Trump made his move. This could reshape global alliances, and not in a way anyone anticipated. The world is on edge, and this is just the beginning. Now, things are getting even darker. European leaders aren't just angry, they're outraged. French President Emmanuel Macron just hit back hard, saying Trump's tariff threats are unacceptable and have no place in this global conversation. But it's not just talk. Macron made it clear, no intimidation nor threat will influence us. He's drawing a line in the sand. Here's the bombshell. Macron is directly linking Trump's tactics with Russia. He's making it clear that the U.S. and Putin share similar agendas when it comes to intimidating European countries. This isn't just a tariff war anymore. It's a full-on geopolitical battle with global implications. And here's the twist that changes everything. Macron didn't just defend Greenland, he's sending a message to the world. If Europe allows this kind of bullying to continue, it sends a dangerous signal to authoritarian regimes everywhere. And make no mistake, that's exactly what Trump's approach is, authoritarian in nature. This isn't about defending one island, it's about defending Europe's place on the world stage. And if Trump succeeds here, it could be the beginning of a much darker global order. And just when you think things couldn't escalate further, they do. European leaders aren't waiting around for Trump to make the next move. They're stacking their own responses. The pressure is mounting. First, you have Sweden rallying its allies in Norway and the UK for a coordinated response. Then you've got Macron doubling down on Europe's resolve, stating that they'll act together if Trump follows through with his sanctions. It's not just talk anymore, it's a united front. But here's where it all starts to break down. What happens if this keeps going? What happens if these tariffs and threats spiral out of control? A conflict that started over Greenland could quickly turn into a global standoff. And that's not just hyperbole. Think about the way NATO could splinter if countries begin to pick sides. One misstep, and the world could be looking at the collapse of entire trade systems and military alliances. If this trend continues, we could see economic chaos and political disarray across continents. The stakes are higher than anyone realizes, and the clock is ticking. Now, let's bring this home to you, the viewer. What does all this mean for ordinary people like you? You might think this is just a political chess game, but the reality is you're feeling the pressure too. If these tariffs go through, expect prices to rise across the board. American businesses, especially farmers, are going to take a massive hit. But here's the kicker. Europe won't be the only one suffering. As Trump tries to strong-arm allies, it's Americans who could end up footing the bill. Think about the ranchers in Brazil or the farmers in Argentina, countries that are already striking major trade deals with Europe. They stand to benefit while American workers get squeezed. And then there's the geopolitical fallout. Trump's bullying approach could trigger military escalation. If you think this doesn't affect you, think again. Every day that these tensions grow, the risk of something much bigger, something involving real lives, becomes more likely. This could easily spiral into something that impacts global security. If this feels familiar, say so in the comments. How far are we willing to let this go before it touches everyone? Here's where it gets really unsettling. It's easy to get caught up in the chaos of the moment, but let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Why is this all happening? What's driving these dangerous moves? The answer lies in power. Who controls the game and who gets to dictate the rules? Trump isn't just trying to invade Greenland. He's playing a bigger game, trying to undermine Europe's sovereignty while positioning himself as the world's dominant figure. But it's not just about Greenland. It's about leveraging fear, spectacle, and the politics of division to get what he wants. This is the mechanism at play. By throwing around tariffs and military threats, Trump is shaking up the status quo. He's turning international alliances into bargaining chips, using economic leverage as a weapon. And this isn't the first time we've seen this kind of maneuver. History is full of leaders who used fear and pressure to bend nations to their will. What's most disturbing? This isn't a short-term move. It's a strategy designed to erode trust in global institutions, especially the United Nations, and replace it with a new Trump-controlled order. If he succeeds, we're looking at a world where the U.S. calls the shots and the rest of the world has to fall in line. This isn't just about Greenland. It's about reshaping the entire international order. Now, we're at a crossroads. What happens next? The stakes are sky high, but there are two possible paths we could take from here, and neither is certain. On one hand, we could see Europe stand firm. Leaders may double down, refusing to back down to Trump's threats. A united Europe could take the world by storm, signaling to the U.S. that its bullying tactics will no longer work. If that happens, Trump might back off, forced to recalibrate his approach. This could lead to a dramatic shift in global power dynamics, with Europe taking a more prominent role in international negotiations. But there's the other possibility. Trump digs his heels in. With tariffs in place, countries across Europe may be forced to reconsider their positions. Some may buckle, and that's where things get dangerous. If Trump's tactics succeed, we could see a domino effect where other nations start following his lead, fracturing the alliances that have held the world together for decades. This could spark an era of isolationism with the U.S. at the helm, but everyone else left fighting for scraps. The next move is already in motion, but the question is, which direction will the world go? And here's the final twist. This entire situation is about more than just tariffs or Greenland. It's about what kind of world we're shaping and whether we're willing to let one man hold the keys to the global order. Here's the truth. If Trump succeeds, we're looking at a new era of power, a world where economic threats and military intimidation set the tone. But if Europe stands firm, we might see a resurgence of alliances based on diplomacy and mutual respect. It's a turning point, and the outcome is far from guaranteed. But here's the part no one's talking about. Regardless of what happens next, this crisis has already reshaped everything. The world is watching, and the path we choose today will echo across the globe for years to come. So, what happens when the dust settles? Will you be on the side of history that chose diplomacy, or will you be left in the wake of a new world order driven by force Make sure you stay informed, subscribe, and keep up with the next steps of this unfolding story. We'll keep you posted on what's coming next.